Hello, it's been a while since I haven't been so active lately, and I thought it'd be, pretty easy and maybe a bit entertaining to do one of these a little quickly. I don't like to blame things on circumstances or such, but the reason I haven't been so very active is because uh, we have like a substitute train or substitute buses for the train, which is shut off during summer months because of renovation in buildings and stuff like that. Which means I have to get up at 5:30 in the mornings to be at work 9. And I understand some people are earlier up than that and have longer ways to work and stuff. So I'm not complaining, but it does mean that I am usually very, very, very tired during the evenings, during weekdays, and most of my weekends end up being just recuperating and sleeping. So that's why that is. I still try to get things in, and as always, there's always personal stuff going on as with everyone is in everyone's life, but I don't like to get too personal and get into that. But anyway, here I was meaning to talk about some movies that I never ever tire of. I don't think I will get into any sort of theory or analyzing why I like them so much, or why they are so, they age so well. Some are, generally achieved or received this way, I should say. And some most certainly aren't. Some are probably very dated in one way or another, but I can watch them a million times and never tire. And I thought I'd share. It'd be cool if you mentioned in the comments that you agree on any, or that you have one that I've missed. These are the ones on the top of my head, and the ones that are basically in my DVD and Blu-ray collection, or even VHS. I do have a few VHSs left that I still haven't, like some stuff I got on VHS hasn't even been released on anything else, and some I just haven't gotten around to, updating to another format. So anyway, these are not in order, and I'm not gonna like list them in an order. I'm just gonna mention them. Usually when I do like top lists, it's not necessarily in the order. It's just that, yeah, I like to put a number on them to separate them apart, to tell them apart, sort of, by more than the, title or whatever. So anyway, Splash. This is a movie from 1984, and I watched that when I was a kid, and on TV first time, and I just loved it. First of all, I was obsessed with mermaids when I was little, and I had watched The Little Mermaid, and loved that, even though that was released afterwards. But of course, most things that I saw or have a relationship was from TV, more than theaters, generally. And so Splash is one of those, and when you look at something as a child, you don't necessarily realize why you react to it, or why it's good. And sometimes you realize when you watch it again as a grown-up that, oh, well, actually this is a good movie. It's a well thought out, put together, written, performed, edited. There's logic and there's quality behind the production. Sometimes, you like something to death when you're a kid, and you don't understand that it actually sucks. I mean, some things are just absolutely ridiculous, and you may still like them as you grow up older because of the nostalgia factor, but they do actually suck. I liked for example, when I was a kid, I liked, God, what was it? It was like a Barbie knockoff cartoon. With all those 80s cartoons and the early 90s cartoons, where it's like everything, the intros were pretty nicely drawn, and then the episode itself looked like crap, but you still hold on to it, you know, and the story made no sense, but it was pretty colors and it had something, you know, that you liked. Don't knock it. I mean, it still fulfills a function, but then you may, you know, take off the nostalgia glasses and you're like, oh, really? That was crap. But Splash is one of those movies that it is not. And you think an 80s comedy about a mermaid falling in love with a human and staying with him and sort of, well, this fish out of water ha 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 comedy, that it would age badly and it wouldn't make sense, it'd be silly and it belong in the 80s, you know, it could never exist in any other, you know, it could never be a success in any other sort of universe, but it does work. It's still absolutely charming. Tom Hanks is fantastic. He's very charming in it. Daryl Hannah is epic. She brings real heart and emotions. I still cry. And the funny thing is, I still cry to the scene where actually John Candy, of all people, who's also charming in this, he has a speech about love and how he's never experienced true love and he maybe never will, and that it's not something that you should like throw away or look down on or just oh, another one. It's man, he is like a true actor in that scene, and it breaks my heart, and it works perfectly as well, even though it's sort of, it's out of character because he is presented as this obnoxious, bumbling bit of a pig, you know, brother to Tom Hanks' character, which is funny as itself because they are so completely different, those two. I mean, how do you say, aesthetic-wise, they don't look nothing alike. But anyway, you could have thought that it would be a complete, they wouldn't work because it was not in his character, but that is like the one scene where he stops being the bumbling funny man for the environment, for his brother and for everyone around, and actually is, you know, the true person shines through and he's a real person. And it's a beautiful scene, and like all the jokes in that film works, and it's a real feel-good movie as well, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Of basically all ages and you know, family, I think. Maybe not small children, because it could be it's a bit scary, I think, maybe for smaller children, but you know, you shouldn't shade them or you know, protect them from everything either. I'd say family film. And it's incredibly charming, incredibly sweet, very loving, very genuine. It feels extremely genuine. You know, superb film. I can watch it again and again, and I never get tired of it. I never get bored of it. There is a like direct to, oh god, I'm sort of look like I'm like flushing completely now. It is rather, well, I'm allergic, not allergic, but oversensitive to mosquito bites, and I've gotten some bites. I get like this, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like swollen. I get like bloated just by mosquito bites. But anyway, I keep losing track every time I do these things. Even when I have a notebook with like notes on it. Oh, there was a direct to video or TV only or something to that sequel to this, and I am not interested in seeing it, and I haven't seen it. I don't want to because it looks like total crap, and also Amy Yasbeck replaces Daryl Hannah, and that, I mean, no offense, she's been good in some things and, you know, funny actress, but that it seems so much. None of the actors, I believe, are reprising their roles, and it's just the ultimate like representation of direct-to-video sequel. Boo. Actually, it took such a long time just lingering on Splash. I might have to do several parts of this. Anyway, moving on. Ghostbusters. The first one, 84 as well, I believe. That's a funny coincidence, but that is also one of those I don't have to explain, really. I'm not a huge fan of the second one. To be honest, it felt less fluent, maybe, somehow. But so yeah, definitely Ghostbusters. I mean, and there's so much like going on in that one as well that you sort of I don't know. You can see several things. There's so much details and such, and again, charm. The way certain things are done or said is also like you can watch it again and again and again because it never gets boring somehow. The and the thrilling bits and the scary bits are like also it's like so effective. Put it that way. It's extremely effective. You can watch the handicraft and you can watch it for the charm. It's enjoyable each viewing. The way, for example, to make an example of it, the way the guy who is being interviewed by Peter Venkman, in the bit where he's testing two different people's psychic abilities by holding up these cards and asking them what card it is. And he's giving the attractive young girl passes on these because he's obviously attracted to her. But the other guy that is doing this experiment is just some random dude that he doesn't like. And he's like torturing this poor guy, even when he gets it right, as you would do by chance at some point. And he gets an electric shock for every wrong answer. And at one point he does this, and he spits out his gum that he's been chewing on. So when he gets electrocuted, he like spits out his gum, and the way he does that, and it's shot. And this is just a bit part character. He doesn't come back into the movie anything or anything, but just that detail is so funny. That's a typical example of how well that works. For some reason, a thing like that is like memorable sticks in my head. I got a feeling this is going to be like mostly 80s. But so anyway, continuing on, Back to the Future 1 and 2. Again, basically same reasons for the first movies I mentioned. Perfectly charming, excellent handiwork, lots of details. I'm not a huge fan of the third one. I know that many people are. They are like, oh, it's a trilogy, a perfect trilogy. I think it sticks out too much, and I'm not a fan of Western. I think it's slower. I think the other two, some are just fans of the first one and hate both the second and the... I think that's a bit harsh. They're all, well-crafted movies, but I am not a fan of the third one. It's okay, but I'm just not into... It's on a slower pace, and I'm not into Westerns generally. That is why. But I think the first and the second are on par with each other, actually. Gremlins, 85 maybe, I think, or it's 84 again. This is when I made this list and when I took note of it, I did not think it's not on purpose, But so yeah, Gremlins, the first one. The second one again is okay, but I don't like the puppets as much as I do in the first one, and the first one feels more like... I don't know, the second one is sillier, and it's supposed to be sillier. It doesn't have any horror elements almost at all, not for reals anyway. The first one does actually have some genuine horror movies. Plus it has the fantastic How I Learned There Is No Santa Claus scene, which almost again like with Splash, when you take something, you have a funny character, you have a funny movie, and so all of a sudden you twist it around to this horrific, absurd, but also horrific story. I think I cried at that scene as well, actually, when I first watched it. And again, I mean, I love puppetry, and I love puppetry. I love stop motion animation as well, generally, really. Like the test stop motion for Jurassic Park is like, wow. I know why they didn't use it, and I agree with the decision not to use it. But you know, I have some things that I really like, and Gremlins fits in there. The Indiana Jones Trilogy, there was no fourth movie, and that's my final word on that. It's sad though, actually, because you know the first three movies are so near perfect. The first one I think is perfect, and I think actually even the third one is perfect too, for its universe. And the second one was the one I liked least in that trilogy. It felt slightly off. I had no problem with there being, like, you know, child laboring and child slavery and stuff like that. I didn't think it was darker necessarily. I never experienced it like that. I don't know, it just appealed to me less, a little less, but it's still like better than half the other movies in the world. No, but I mean, it still works, and very well. So, the fourth one, it's so sad because I think there was some good stuff in it, but it gets so overshadowed by all the things that doesn't work. The scene in the cafe where the like the greasers and the whatever, you know, the two groups starts a fight. They provoke them to fight, and that girl goes, "That's my boyfriend!" and she just hits him straight on. I liked that scene. I would have loved to seen that in a different indie movie, a good indie movie. But there you go. I am also one of the few people who actually liked the refrigerator scene. I like the whole set piece with him being in the testing area, the nuke testing area, and hiding in the fridge and getting blood. I thought that was a bit indie because, you know, there's stupid shit in this movie. It's fantasy movies. I do think he would have had some more broken bones though. So there are things I like in it, but let's just pretend it never happened. You know what? I'm nearing like 20 minutes at this point, so I'm actually going to cut it here, and I'm going to make this into several parts. Also, I need to go and like chill down because I'm like flushing like crazy. Also, get some nice cat scratch marks. Thank you, neighbors' cats. You're so cozy. I'm too nice. I let him do that. So anyway, see you in the next part, whenever that'll be.